Okay. So, item 1 is apologies for absence. I haven't received any at all.
Fine. Obviously, my understanding is that both Councillor Waterson and Councillor Elvin are going to attend. So we'll just wait to see what happens with that one.
Okay, then I'm just going to check my list because any other non-attendances will be recorded as unapproved. See who we've got. Yeah, Councillor Thornton, unapproved.
Right.
Can I just have a view from members, please?
I'm happy with that until we know exactly what's going on with the other two councils. That should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, is that unanimous?
Yeah. Yep.
Councillor Dodds?
Yep.
Yep, thanks. Right, item 2, declarations of interest. No.
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 None. Thank you. Item 3 is public participation. As I say, we don't have any members of the public. Councillor Pearson in attendance. Do you want to set a time, 10 minutes or something, in case Councillor Pearson wants to come in? Or
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
You could ask Councillor Pearson if she wants to come in.
right, public participation, 10 minutes. Anything from Councillor Pearson? You're on mute.
You're still on mute, Kath. You're still on mute.
Was Councillor Turner going to see, or was that the other committee that she was going to see about the thing for the 11th of November?
She was going to
See the minister.
Yeah, but wasn't she having a meeting or something?
I don't know. I was just wondering, is anything going to happen with that? I mean, I'm out to turn, I know, but I was just curious.
Chairman, if I can just,
If
I just come in here. I don't recollect seeing anything from Councillor Turner on that specifically, but obviously we've been somewhat overtaken by events following the announcement by Sunderland City Council, so I don't know what impact that will have on Easington Lane, but just to bear in mind that Easington Lane is not our event.
Yes, Fellowship of Churches.
Isn't it with the council if they've sort of banned it if you're on council land? With LCAP, I know we're hopefully gonna do something in our garden because it's private. But obviously, you know, like with everything up in the air, I'm not quite sure. But I know there's nothing happening on the Sunday.
Sorry, I've got a member of the public. Sorry, interrupt you, Councillor. I've got a member of the public joining. I'm just going to admit them and explain about the recording again, if that's okay, Chairman.
Yeah, fine.
Good evening.
Good evening, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
You just acknowledge that you've got sound.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Right, that's grand. If I can just explain, we're just on to item 3, public participation. So you're just in time if you want to put your, any questions forward. And just to remind you that this meeting is being recorded and it will be published on the Council's Facebook page, YouTube channel, and it's likely to be distributed to third-party sources as well. Okay.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where were we? Councillor Willis, had you concluded there?
Yep,
Okay.
I concluded.
I think the only thing I would say to Councillor Willis and everybody else, which I spoke to the town clerk about this afternoon, is Wallace is supposed to be making another announcement tonight, is it, Graham?
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know what that's going to be, so, but it might have an impact on anything we're discussing tonight. We'll just have to wait and see.
So Councillor Waterson's joining us now.
Yes, apologies for being late.
More
Technical problems, I'm sorry. Shocking.
Okay, we're just on item 3, public participation.
I'm all over the place, even. Right.
Okay. Any other comments from the public?
No.
Do you want to move on to item 4, Remembrance Day? If I can just introduce this item, Councillor Dennis. Members will have had from me 3 pieces of information about Remembrance Day. The first was the notification of the Facebook post from Sunderland City Council. And there was also a list of how other parish and town councils in County Durham were approaching Remembrance Day. On Friday, I circulated, in response to a query I'd made to the City Council, a position statement. And then just earlier today, which only came in this morning, a note from the County Association about the Royal British Legion's update to their website, which may combined inform members thinking tonight.
Oh, there was that, may not have read through all of that, Graham. Can you just give us an overview of it?
Yeah, bear with me.
Just a quick
Just going
one.
to turn you up. Yes, the first item there was the notification from a Facebook post from Sunderland City Council, and the item which I'd highlighted was that the City Council will not be permitting any events to take place on council land or the highway on either Remembrance Sunday the 8th or Wednesday the 11th of November, which is traditionally the date that the Town Council would hold its Remembrance event. That was the key aspect. As I said, there's a whole range of information about what other town and parish councils were doing in County Durham. I then got a little bit more information from the City Council through the provision of a position statement, and that highlighted that they understood the disappointment that those who took part in organised parades would have, and it highlighted that they were going to conduct a remembrance service online on Sunday the 8th, where residents of Sunderland can view and pay their respects at 11 AM with a 2-minute silence, but more details to be released on that. The position statement also mentioned that they were also creating a series of short films to reflect on what the act of remembrance means to the people of Sunderland. These short films feature the general public, notable members of the community, and those connected to our armed forces. The films will display the pride that the community has in those that served and still serve. And it goes on to say that they will not be permitting the closing of any roads in the city or events to take place on council land or highway. And what this statement does is refer people to the government's coronavirus site and the Sunderland City Council's coronavirus webpage. I haven't seen anything updated, and as you quite rightly said, Chairman, we do expect an announcement from the Prime Minister tonight about the potential for further restrictions. Whether or not they'll affect us in the Sunderland area, I don't know.
The Prime Minister has made a statement today, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any further restrictions yet, but he is in consultation with the leaders of councils and such like in the area. That came out at 3 o'clock today, but I think he's making another televised one at 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible if we say so, it may have an impact on any discussions or recommendations made this evening, but I'm afraid we'll just have to wait and see. And sorry, just to come out to Councillor Geddes' request, the third piece of information that came out today is from the County Association about the Royal British Legion updating their website, and they've suggested a range of COVID-safe activities to help anyone who wants to take part in a remembrance activity. So that's your run through.
Lovely, thank you for that, good.
Well, So I don't know if members have any wider views on what the town council may wish to do on the Wednesday.
I mean, obviously you've got to work, in my view, with the recommendations in mind. I don't know where any individual would stand if they wanted to, for example, buy a wreath and put it on at their own time as an individual. Any
I think
thoughts on
that's,
that?
yes, Chair,
Yeah.
I have. I mean, obviously we do have veterans who come along to the Hetton Memorial Remembrance Day service on their own. They come as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean that Sunderland City Council are totally not allowing anyone to come in and lay a wreath, you know, on their own
Memorial.
behalf? You know, that's the question I would ask. What is an event? What's classed as an event? And as people simply walking in at 11 o'clock, single file or one at a time, laying their wreath, you know, doing a couple of minutes or so and then walking out the other end. The memorial part lends itself to that with having two exits, an entrance and an exit. So, you know, is that, I think that's a route we should really be exploring. We're not encouraging or putting it out to any member of the public, but I think that council, the leaders of each group could have their own wreaths and just walk through at that time and walk out at the other end. You know, there'll be no sort of mingling or getting together, but at least we'll be able to do that. You know, is that an option?
I would agree with that.
Mr. Town Clerk?
Yeah, I mean, I think Councillor Waterson's hit the nail on the head. It's what's the definition of an event? And is it something that's actually endorsed by an official body, whether it's the town council or somebody else, or is an event class is just an informal gathering of people? I mean, I don't know. When I got the position statement from Sunderland City Council, I did acknowledge it and I explained to my contact there that the events committee was meeting this evening. So I do have the opportunity to go back and ask any more specific questions. Is there anything else that's pushed out here?
Yeah. Well, I feel that unless they're putting padlocks on the Memorial Park gates, they can't exactly stop individuals from putting wreaths down. As long as that certain individual adheres to the rules, wears a mask, distances and walks out, and there's no congregation, there's nothing, you know, there's no sort of mingling. We all walk out and that's it. You know, will that be accepted?
It's a fair point. Councillor Evans just joined us as the Town Clerk.
Yeah,
my apologies, Mr. Chairman, and one and all. I was late returning from work. I've only just got in, so I do apologise for my late arrival.
If the minutes can just reflect that both Councillor Watson and Councillor Evans here now.
yes, I've made a note.
I mean, that's where we are. You know, sometimes when they ask a question of various bodies, it gets rather complicated and you might not like the answer. But I mean, you know, we're all individuals. And my view would be if I wanted to put a wreath on the cenotaph at Horton or Easington Lane at Hetton, I would expect to be allowed to as an individual. I mean, I do agree that Hetton Town Council have their hands tied with the current regulations. You know, I don't know if anybody else has got any views on that, including a member of the public. I think because there's Councillor Pace as well. I'm quite happy for you to join in with any comments you've got for this.
I would agree with that. I agree with Councillor Waterson. If social distance is respected, one person at a time should go up and lay the wreath. I think the fallen deserve that.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
35 eminent doctors throughout the world are getting together to sign a petition to say, get on with life, because the consequences is going to be worse. if they don't. So I don't know whether Boris is going to take any notice of that, or he's going to stick to the regional line or the Imperial College that seems to direct him. So,
Councillor Elvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, from what I've heard, I concur with what's been said by Councillor Waterson and everybody else. Just a quick clarification. I read the documentation that the Town Clerk provided. Our body, which is Durham-based, has us listed down as having an event, be it in the manner described by Councillor Waterson, which contradicted, obviously, the edict come from Sunderland City Council. Can I just confirm that the edict from Sunderland City Council takes preference or over what the CD Cal has already told us in their correspondence?
I think that's one of those grey areas, Councillor Elvin, because, you know, we do take advice from that particular organisation. And to be fair to them, that organisation has over 100 town and parish councils within their remit, where Sunderland, obviously we all know, we are the only parish council, town council in Sunderland. So it's a bit of a grey area. I would rely on Graham's expertise on this one, because I'm at a bit of an impasse on that.
Yeah, if I can just clarify the timings on the different bits of correspondence. The county association had put a asking what is that my sound? Bear with me.
Yeah, it's yours, Graham.
Is that any better? No.
Seems to be.
I don't know what the problem is.
Richard, you're muted.
Yeah, may I suggest that everybody mutes themselves when they're not speaking? That sometimes helps with this interference. I was going to say.
Good idea.
Right. That's, yeah. It was interesting that interference occurred when Councillor Elvin was speaking as well. So it's not just me. Yeah, I just wanted to explain the timeline of the bits of correspondence that have come out. It was a week or so back now that the County Association had put a round robin out just to seek views of different town and parish councils about what they might want to do. So, of course, I sent that in several days before the summary list was compiled by the County Association. So that went out before I was aware of the Sunderland City Council Facebook post. So the County Association wouldn't have been aware of the Facebook post by Sunderland City Council, not least of all because it's not their patch. Although we're part of the County Association, we're one of a small number who fall outside of the County Durham area. So they wouldn't have been aware of the Sunderland City position statement at all there. I think we're in a position where everything's moving quickly again. And what we haven't is any Durham County Council might be the same as or conflict with the County Council. I just don't know. But I think we're in a position where, because the mini park is, we're going to have to take the lead.
Right. Can I just come in, Graham?
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that slightly concerned to me. Has Sunderland officially contacted you as our town clerk to discuss this or not?
No, I picked it up on the Facebook post. And
Right.
then I thought,
Can I just stop you there, Graham?
And that's what I provided with the position statement.
Right. Can I just say something then? Durham County Council has over 100 parish councils. We are the only one in Sunderland, and yet we don't even have the respect of our city people contacting us. Doesn't that just sum this up? Doesn't it just sum it up? My goodness, you would. I mean, if they had 120 councils, I could understand it. But my goodness, one council, and they can't even have the bloody common decency to speak to us. Disgusting. Sorry, rant over. Down to you, Mr. Town Clerk.
Councillor Alvin wishes to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couldn't agree more. I might say to move this along. One, Graham might like to write to the Sunderland City Council and just clarify the position, the proposal that has gone out by our local county association of what we do, and then if Sunderland City Council come back and says no, sorry, nothing's allowed, period, then it's down to each councillor to do whatever they feel their conscience will let them do, and to hell with the chances of getting arrested. That's my view. So if that's all right with you, Chairman, if the council could just clarify it with, it should be the other way around, as you quite rightly say, and it's absolutely disgraceful. It isn't, but I think that's the only way to get around this. Ask them if they say no, then the answer is no, and then we just do our own thing.
I can't see how they can police this. How are they going to stop individuals from coming along? We have a number of them in Hetton that will come and lay wreaths. Are Sunderland City Council going to stop them? And if that's the case, I could find a blanket ban. But if they're only going to say that the local councillors can't go and lay the wreaths, we need defining lines on what's going on here.
Yeah. Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. I think we do need so. But as I say, if they pose a blanket ban, then as you say, Councillor Waterson, lots of people are going to pay their respects in whatever format they feel their conscience determines they should do, and I would think that we'll all just do the same. But until we get clarification from SCC, I think we're in a cleft stick situation.
I think you'll have to ask them to have the gates closed if that's the case. They would have to actually officially close the gates to the Memorial Park.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would just not push it. I wouldn't let them do that. Let them be the ones that they make that decision. Don't let us prompt them into doing it.
I'm not Councillor Elvin. I'm saying the only way they can stop individuals from going in there and putting the wreaths down is to put padlocks on the gates.
Well, yeah, I agree, but let's see if they do that. I mean, if they come back and say that, and that's what they're going to do, then let it be on their heads that they do that. But in the meantime, I think all we can do is seek clarification and then take it from there.
Sorry, Councillor Coulson's there. Want to speak, Councillor?
Well, if they lock the gates, I don't think they will. We'll just strap them to the fence outside, the outside railings. That's my point of view. Or can we ask a question? Are you definitely banning the laying of wreaths? Yes or no? Direct question.
Mr. Chairman, may I propose that we ask him to seek clarification, seek clarification of it, and then upon receipt of whatever they say, we take the appropriate action. That's all we can do. We can talk around in circles, but I think that's all we can do. Seek clarification, and then Clark reports back, and then we do as I say, whatever we think.
Yeah. Can I just ask, Chairman? Obviously, the minutes of this meeting need to go to full council next week. I'll be finalising the agenda for full council tomorrow, to go out tomorrow. Would it be helpful if I included Remembrance Day as an agenda item?
Yeah.
And hopefully by that time I'll have had a response from the City Council as well. Okay, that's that.
Yeah, agreed.
Great.
Are you okay with that? Councillor Willis? Yeah. Councillor Dodds? Yeah, great. Seen your hand there. Thank you.
Chair, can I just ask a question here? You've said that we haven't had a response from Sunderland Council or anything from Sunderland Council, yet in an email sent on the 9th of October, it says that you sought clarification from Sunderland Council, and this is the information attached.
Yeah, can I, if I can just clarify that. When I saw the Facebook post, I then emailed a contact at the City Council just to try and establish a bit more information in terms of what their definition was of an event. And the response I got back was they provided that position statement. Now, obviously, the discussion we've had this evening is asking me to press the City Council on that, and in particular to outline to the City Council the original proposal that the Town Council had for a very low-key, low-scale event. And that's the proposed.
I don't. Sorry to interrupt there, but I think the word event needs to be kept out.
Yeah.
It's not an event at all.
No.
It's just a facility being available for people to go and lay a wreath. There's no event. It's not going to be organised.
Yeah, sorry, that was the original. When the Facebook post originally came out, that was my initial query. What is an event? Obviously, we've moved on a little bit since then. Councillor Gannis, you're on mute.
Can I just clarify something with Councillor Dodds? The wording I used was, have Sunderland been in contact with Hetton Town Council? That was the question I asked. We know that our town clerk's been in contact, and my sarcasm to it was, I could understand the possible pressures if we had 120 councils in Sunderland, but we haven't. And therefore, what I'm saying is quite clearly, Sunderland do not, in my humble opinion, value us or communicate with us in any meaningful way. Now, if that hurts people's feelings, I'm terribly sorry, but that's the way I feel. They did not communicate with us. Our town clerk communicated with them. Fact. Sorry, Mr. Town Clerk.
Okay. Right. Any further comments on item? You want to move on?
Yeah, through the chair, Town Clerk, when we're speaking to Sunderland Council, could we ask if members could either lay a wreath, you know, at 10-minute intervals, so we're not getting in touch with anybody, or if anybody could lay a wreath during the day, so members of the public are aware that they can go in there anytime and lay a wreath, provided there's nobody, or there's the minimum of 6 people around, or whatever the restrictions are on the day.
I think that's what we asked for, really, Councillor Dodds.
Yeah.
That wasn't clear. It just came out that everyone was going at a set 5 or 10 minutes. But if we say anybody can go during the day to lay a wreath or ask that question, then it's not an event, is it, if we go throughout the day at different times?
No.
As long as we're all aware from the different parties that, you know, the Independents will be laying their wreath at 11 o'clock. The Labour will lay them at 12. You know, it just spaces them out so we are aware when each party or when people will be laying them.
I'm happy with that, yeah, but yeah, that, I would say that was the common sense approach. I think that's what we were trying to say in the first place, that it wasn't clear, but yeah, I'm happy with that.
Could you, can I just ask, Chair, could you ask for a police presence on the gate? Would that help? You know, they normally do they normally lay a wreath. They normally lay a wreath on the day. So is there a possibility we could have, you know, they could be there and facilitate the laying of the wreath so that there's no comeback, that it wasn't, you know.
Well, I think again, I don't want to give Graham too much to do, but we all know that the police usually tend to lay their own wreath. So I would ask Mr. Town Clerk if you could just contact the police and see if they plan for that, and get a response for us as to, are they going to lay the wreath? What are their duties for that, you know, half an hour period or whatever it is? I think it's unreasonable to have police standing there for a couple of hours. That's, you know, they've got more important things to do. But I think clarification on the police and their rate plan and what their response is to any of our questions, I think that would be welcome. Thank you. Did everybody get that?
Yep. I don't,
Yes, thank you.
I don't think there's no need to have the police there at all. as you say.
No, I totally agree with that, Reg, but the police usually lay their own rate or a PCSO. Councillor Willis?
Why don't we, when we get the when we get the message back from the council about lay a wreath or not, and if you can, then just put a little poster out just to cover ourselves saying, you know, we can't hold an event, but you're more than welcome to come along. You know, there is, the gate will be open so you can lay your own wreath. But put, like, you know, like a little poster or whatever, or saying, you know, that so it doesn't come back to us. We're not allowed to hold it, but
I can see the sense in that, Councillor Willis.
Yeah.
That was what I meant by a police on the gate, that we would be covering our own backs and saying that the police had monitored, that no one was, you know, wasn't social distancing, and there could be no comeback to the council.
like even if you just put on, you know, just bear in mind you need to be so far apart, you know, for the safety, because they're all going to be getting on a bit, the majority of them, aren't they?
I think the problem that we've got here, I mean, I would fully expect, you know, things could possibly change from now till then, but in the case that they remain the same or get worse, I think that it would be prudent that Hitton Town Council, as Sunderland will do, I would imagine, that we put the latest information on our council website to make sure that the public know that this will not be, if that's the way it turns out, this will not be a Hitton Town Council event. You know, and therefore, you know, simple as that.
But not all older people are on Facebook. And,
that's true, Christine, that's very true. And I
you know,
think
but if they're toddling around, like in the chemist, because, you know, they might get the chemist, somewhere where they can see it.
I think when we get close to the date and we know exactly what's occurring, I think it would be common sense and good policy to provide information other than on Facebook, so such as on the notice boards in the workmen's club and stuff like that, so people know exactly what's going on. I think that would be sensible, if you all agree to that.
It's a fine line, isn't it, between making it into an event and keeping it as just spontaneous people just going and laying a wreath. That's that fine line we've got to walk.
Councillor Elvin?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. All we can do is publish what Sunderland's response is to our inquiries, both on the website, on Facebook, and in the two council notice boards, and that's in possibly other places. But until we get a response, you know, nothing we can do. And then I say all we can do is publicise the response.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we've covered this part of the agenda, haven't we? Well and truly.
Could I just make a comment there, Chair? I've got something from the Fellowship of the Churches.
Right.
They have considered recording something at the clock on the Saturday, but because of the restrictions now, they don't think that will be able to happen. And they're having a meeting tomorrow. They're having a Zoom meeting tomorrow to consider their options. So we'll know better from them in a couple of days.
That's great, Councillor Dodds. I think that's, you know, I don't think anybody's going to be in a position to make any decisions until we know what's going to happen in the next 10 to 14 years anyway. So thank you for that.
Chair, through Chair Clark, is there anything we can do on our website about setting up a book of remembrance or something like that, so people can pay their respects that way as well?
Chairman, if I can just come I've seen that suggestion from the Royal British Legion. It's certainly something I can have a look at if that's something that the committee and ultimately council want me to do. Just bear in mind the the design aspects of our website aren't great. It possibly doesn't, in its current form, lend itself to anything too innovative. That's the only point I would make. But if it's feasible and that's what the committee and council wish, certainly explore it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Just while we're on the subject of informing people, the schools usually take part in doing pictures and crosses and things. I don't know if it's possible, Graham, just to keep the schools that are usually attended, just to keep them in the loop rather than keep them in the dark. They may well look at our website, but just a thought to make sure that they are informed to what's going to happen or not going to happen, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, if I can just comment, I think there's a range of communications activities. Once we know, what we can do and what we can't do, that's the time to just firm up on communication.
Yeah, that's great.
There's a range of ways to do that. Either notices on the mini park, Facebook website, and in some cases, it'd be the good old-fashioned letter to some of the key contacts that we have.
That's great. Great. Lovely. Thank you for that.
Chair?
Councillor Walsh?
Yeah, could I just, there's a possibility we could always contact the schools and ask them if they want to do a little service or something in their school. And we could put their recording, we could put the video onto the council website.
That's a brilliant idea.
If they do a little, just
Yeah.
a little thing in their schools, or they have poppies that they've
Yeah.
done, or
That's
make
a brilliant
something, and we
idea.
could ask them to send the video over to the clerk and put it onto the website.
That is a fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. Happy with that. That's a really positive suggestion. Mr. Town Clerk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you, which schools have you got in mind, Councillor Waterson?
Well, I
Obviously,
think
Eppleton.
normally Hetton Lions
Mhm.
and Eppleton and the three, the three, well, East Drayton could be, you'd have to ask East Drayton as well, obviously. And you'd have to ask Easington Lane if they wanted to do them, and give them all the opportunity to either,
I think that's,
whatever they want to do, and then, we could put it onto the website, and then they feel involved and they haven't been left out.
Graham, do you want to look at that, or do you want to forward that on to the councillor that has suggested it?
Oh, thank you, Councillor Geddes.
You're all right. I'm mindful of giving Graham an awful lot to do in such a short period. But
I don't mind. I don't mind if you want me to.
I think my preferred approach would be to make sure that whatever communication message we want to put out is actually cohesive and properly structured. And my preference would be to liaise with individual members who've raised a number of potential ways forward tonight to flush out the detail.
That's great, that's exactly what I've just said.
Okay.
Lovely. Moving on.
Next one, flagpoles. Flagpoles. Right. Bear with me. Just to give you an update on this one, I've spoken to the 3 potential suppliers who I'd had quotations from earlier in the summer, and all have been able to confirm for me that the quotes still stand. Now, quotations would need approval by council, and it would be my intention to have an agenda item at full council next week to consider the quotations. When we had this was recently flagged up, pardon the pun.
Flagged up?
Yeah, the focus is on trying to get these in place for Remembrance Day. And I did have some concerns there about the time scale. And I don't know, in view of the conversation that we've just had, that is now time critical. But each of the suppliers has told me that, generally speaking, they can get flagpoles to customers within about 5 working days. The exception being, if we wanted them to install it, you've got no chance because there's a several-week lead-in period for installation. Now, I know some members have mentioned that there are potentially local contacts who could install flagpoles. If we're proceeding with this, those potential contractors need to be on standby at relatively short notice so that it's all coordinated. And the other thing to report on this is that, and I think I mentioned this previously, I don't think we need planning permission, and we may or may not need what's called advertising consent. I'm still in the process of just navigating my way through the advertising consent process. It suggests that we may not, but I do need to have that conversation with the City Council and also to establish exactly where the location would be for the flagpole in the mini park. I have been able to obtain a plan of the mini park, an OS plan of the mini park from an early application on the planning portal from several years ago, so I can use that. And it may be that we don't have to go down a formal process, but I do need to know the exact proposed location. Turning to Easy Lane, would have the suggestion that there's a 45-degree flagpole went on the side of the memorial that is potentially thwarted because it's a listed building. And that within the last few days, I've gained a contact from the City Council in the Heritage or Conservation side who will be advising me.
Lovely, thank you, Mr. Clark.
Sorry, I haven't got a quote for the 45-degree one yet. We need to know if we can actually go ahead and put it somewhere first.
Okay, but if you can go ahead and try and get that.
Yeah,
I mean, Councillor Elvin? Councillor Elvin?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. From work we did earlier on this, Town Clerk, we discovered that the war memorials were actually under the control of the War Memorial Association, whatever it was, and if we wanted to do anything with them, it was they who we had to contact, because they were the ones who could give permission to modify, adapt, or whatever it was, irrespective of whether it was a listed building or not. They were the first point of contact. I've been trying to find the correspondence we had with them and I've been unsuccessful. Do you remember the correspondence, Town Clerk?
Glazing over, Councillor Elvin, glazing over. Yes, there's the War Memorials Trust, and then there's another, which I think is the key one. The comments I've made about Easington Lane spill out of the previous events committee meeting we had, and Councillor Turner was tasked with just making some initial inquiries. And it was as a result of her dialogue with the City Council that I've been put in touch, that I've established it's the conservation people at the City Council I need to speak to. I need to liaise with them initially, I think, because that's the steer that I've had. They're absolutely right. I think the War Memorials Trust will have an interest, whether or not they are able to actually give permission or otherwise, I don't know, simply because I don't know the extent of their remit. But they would certainly have an interest, that's for sure. And I'm not quite certain what the demarcation is between the City Council as the owner of the Easington Lane War Memorial and the War Memorials Trust. Probably needs to be a bit of joined up thinking here.
Thank you.
Yeah, just come in, Councillor, Mr. Chairman. It was my understanding that all the memorials are actually owned by this War Memorials Trust. They're not actually council property. But maybe you could clarify. That's my understanding that that was the case. But
yeah, I'll certainly clarify. My current thinking is the City Council who own the clock at Easington Lane. They certainly pay for it.
Good. Right. Okay.
So yes, I think that was it on flagpoles.
Can I just add to the flagpole situation as well? I don't know if there is any chance that we can seek to see how these flagpoles are raised and taken down, because I would like to have a flagpole that can't be.
You wanted vandal-proof?
Yes, I mean, I put an analogy to my colleague, Councillor Watson today. When I was managing the college, we didn't have open windows that could be opened by the students. You had to have a key to wind them. And then that key was locked away, so the students couldn't get out and dive out of the windows, that type of thing. The same with the flagpole. I hope we can get a flagpole that can be controlled and not vandalised. So that's the negative part. The positive part is that, and I've discussed this with the town clerk and another couple of people, a gentleman that lives in Hetton, Colour Sergeant Kevin Bourne, the Coldstream cards, has presented Hetton Town Council with 2 flags and the ropes for them. So again, I would like to say thank you to Kevin, and hopefully, Mr. Town Clerk, you can write that letter and we can get it presented to Colour Sergeant Bourne from the Coldstream Guards, who went out of his way to do this for us. Thank you.
Chairman, I love it. I love a good letter. Leave it with me, but you'll have to give me the basics on it.
I'll give you the details, yeah. Councillor Watterson. You're muted. You're muted, Susan.
Can you confirm, was it 1 or 2 flagpoles in the Memorial Park?
2, please, I think. I think that's what we agreed.
It's 2.
2.
Right, I'm not sure whether the town clerk was aware that you were asking for 2 or just thought 1. Yeah?
It was to emulate.
Whatever you want.
It was to emulate what they've got at Merton, which I think looks fantastic.
Yeah, so it's definitely 2 for him.
2, yeah.
That's all I wanted to confirm. That was all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor
Chair.
Coulson.
It's just, as Councillor Ellis said, it's the vandalisation of them. There's only 2 ways to raise the flag, either on springs or like a handle that winds up. Both of them, I think, could be vandalised. So I have to think of some way to avoid that.
And you not take the handle out, Councillor Coulson, after you've done it? And you
Pardon?
not take the handle out? You
Well,
know, is it
I know
a
by
winding thing?
the sunscreens on the cricket field, they have a cane, they plug it in, and they wind it up and wind it down, and that's it. But it's a difficult situation to get it up and not be vandalised. Well, that's, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Coulson.
Right, are you okay on flagpoles?
Yeah, I'm holding. Excuse me.
I've missed something here. Right, do we want to go on to Christmas?
Councillor Watson has.
Yes, she's setting me off. Yeah. Christmas.
Sorry?
Christmas, Mr. Town Clerk.
Right. Just to report that last time we spoke, we had great uncertainty about Christmas celebrations, again in view of COVID. What I have is confirmation of the costs of the Christmas trees, which will go ahead. And it's the 3 sites, East Rainton, Moseley and Hetton, and they've come in at £1,300 each, with the exception of East Rainton, which is £1,100. And I do have a query out today to my son in conduct just to understand why there's that £200 difference when the specification is the same for each site. If you remember last year, we paid £2,000, so this is a significant reduction. We'd had a £1,000 budgeted, so there has been a slight increase, but we're working on potentially £1,300 each for the 3 trees. And again, I propose to take that to full council next week. And what I've also had is a request from Valpower Beatty to say, do we want to have illuminations, and for them to provide a quote. Now, I must be honest here, because what they've done is they've emailed me that, and attached to the email were 3 quotations, which I assumed were for this year. But of course, when I read it in a bit more detail, what they've done is attached the quotations for last year, saying, do we want to have new quotations this time around? So I've emailed them this afternoon, say, yes, please, as soon as possible. And again, I hope to be able to bring some cost to full council next Tuesday.
Lovely, thank you, Graham. Councillor Elvin? Councillor Elvin?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to propose that out of its own funds, the council actually has an additional tree this year. There is a facility within the mini park to put a tree with electricity supply, a hole already prepared, which apparently was something that was used some years ago. And I think with the ongoing situation we have with COVID-19 and what's likely to follow, I think our residents could do with a bit of good cheer and cheering up over Christmas. And if we could look at installing a small, Christmas tree there, I can get some costumes for you if you like, or we can get some. But it would be rather nice. Say that everything's already there. Presumably, again, we'd have to pay some of the city council to plug it in, and need to get a quotation from that, which of course we all know will be 10 times what it would cost a private contractor, but that's another story. But I'd like to propose to the committee that we look at the feasibility of putting this extra tree in.
Personally, I'm in this difficult time, I think people do need cheering up. So from this committee, I would wholeheartedly agree. But I think it would have to be taken again to the full council meeting, won't it? Does everybody agree with that? Put your hands up if you do. Councillor Waterson? That's fine, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Lovely, thanks. Councillor Coulson.
Does Councillor Coulson wish to speak?
Yeah, the official site, it's not, we've got to have permission for that, haven't we?
For the original site, for the library.
The library, yeah.
Got it.
That's already been sourced by Graham. That was done months ago. Thank you for that, Reg. And
Yeah.
thank you for that, Mr. Town Clerk, for being proactive.
Yes. Can I just, on this suggestion of an additional tree, I'm just not sure from what I've heard whether we're asking the City Council to source it and for Balfour Whitley to illuminate it. I suspect it will fall outside the timescale for the City Council's procurement exercise now.
I think what Councillor Elvin, I mean, we've already looked at this. This is the original site for the tree that was in the mini park in the past. Right. So the power supply is there, as is the steel hole where they used to slot the Christmas tree in when it was positioned in there. So I think what Councillor Elvin was suggesting is a little bit more cheer, and it won't be the same size tree as you've got for the other places. It would be smaller than them, you know. But I think taking it to the main council and seeing what the response is, you know, you can air it out there, I think. If Councillor Elvin?
Yes, the suggestion would be to actually, as it would more than likely fall outside the procurement timescale, as the town clerk said, of SCC, but would be well within our timescales to procure one. It would be a case of finding out if we did procure it, then I assume we would have to pay Balfour Beatty to dress it, because I'm sure they wouldn't license us to do it. So the proposal was to get out of HTC funds and then get ask SCC about dressing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Elvin. I think just the odd comment on that. Obviously, we'd have to look at the health and safety implications to make sure everything is safe with the lights and what have you. I'm fine with that. I think that's all for that little bit. If there's any, I mean, if you want to move on to the next item, Mr. Town Clerk.
That's about we're done, unless you wish to set the date and time for the next meeting.
No, I think we need to discuss the dressing of the trees as well. The dressing of not the Christmas trees, the dressing of the trees in the mini park. Because I know you've made contact, and I've had a phone call this afternoon from Lindsay, who I mentioned to you yesterday, I think it was, or Friday. And I know we're going at this from different angles, but we look like we're speaking to the same people. So just for everybody else's information, the people that both myself and Graham is speaking to are obviously Aurora Balfabiti, and the guy that we need to get in contact with is on a course today and tomorrow. But I've been reliably informed by Beverly that he will be back at the end of the week with our quotations, and depending on those quotations, we can take a view on what's going to happen. Now, for the people that don't know this, it's got to come out anywhere. We're looking to dress up a number of trees in the mini park again, because, you know, it's been a terrible year, and I think people need to be cheered up. And let's not forget that the mini park has had lights for donkey's years, but they have been let to go to wreck and ruin. They are in the trees, they are covered in moss, and really they should have been better maintained and looked after by whoever's responsibility it was for them. So that's where we're at. But again, I would stress that this depends on the costings, but it would be nice, and we're trying to get this sorted out before Christmas. If anybody else wants to say anything on that, quite happy for them to come in. Councillor Coulson?
Well, back to remembrance, we've got our council meeting next Monday. Can we have a direct email to the clerk regarding what's been discussed tonight, so a clear picture of what we're supposed to do and what we can't do and what we intend to do? Can we have that sorted by Monday? Because that'll be the last meeting before remembrance.
Okay, Councillor Watterson. You're muted, Councillor Watterson.
Apologies. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the centre of Hetton, the decorations that go up. I mean, has there been any discussion asking about them? Because they are the shabbiest, horriblest decorations that I've seen in a long while. I mean, they look like something out of Hawaii 5-0 with these palm tree things. I mean, they are the
I actually thought they were from Miami, because the palm trees, not Christmas trees.
Like, I mean, they are ghastly. They really are.
Can I shed some light on that, Councillor Waters? There were current major council meetings at Sunderland where a number of proposals were put forward, and one of them I was led to believe that each councillor got, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't each city councillor get £10,000 which would go towards new Christmas lighting? Is that correct? Can somebody inform me that, or somebody get back to me on that? Because it would be lovely if our city councillors would actually put that money into Hetton and Easington Lane to upgrade our long-standing diabolical Christmas lights. So I hope I'm right in what I've said. I think I'm right in what I've said. But it would be nice if our city councillors confirmed, if that is the case, and confirmed which councillors are going to dip into their little pockets to help Hetton and Easington Lane and Leighton and Moseley to have a better Christmas lighting. Thank you very much. Anybody want to speak?
I think Easington, Chair, I think Easington Lanes have been updated. I think they've got newer ones up their mind. The one I'm on about, the big ones on the lamppost.
Oh, I know what you're on about, Councillor Watson. Yeah, we've had them for donkey's years. The horrible red ones.
Well, they don't work. Half of them don't light up anyway. So I would really like some, clarification on what's going to happen if they intend to put them back up.
To be quite honest with you, Councillor Watson, I would love to give them the Beamish and we get some new ones.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying they're old, of course. Sorry, Councillor Elvin.
You're
You're
muted.
muted, Councillor Elvin. Unmute.
Sorry about that.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, could I also ask to make sure that this year that the Hetton Town Council sign that appears the entrance to the mini park is there and is working this year, because that's we've had problems in the past. So if we can make sure that's somewhere included, I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I think.
Just me dog coming.
Can I just say, Chair?
Yeah.
I think what's coming through is that due to the circumstances at the moment with COVID, that we really all feel we want to go all out and really, you know, cheer the people, the residents of Hetton East, Drayton East and Lane up. And if this is the only thing we can do, you know, I think we need to give it 100%.
Shove the boat out a bit would be my view.
Yeah, let's not make it a shabby Christmas.
No. Mr. Town Clerk?
Yes, Chairman, just in view of your comments there about potential funding by the City Council for enhancements to Christmas lights.
I was asking if that's the case.
Is there a specific action for me there?
Well, I would like you to, you know, first of all, this has been said because I watched the full 4 hours of that particular meeting. Some of it was interesting, some of it was diabolical, but you know, the gist of that meeting was that the City Council had turned down requests for additional funding for a rat problem, and they had agreed additional funding for Christmas celebrations, Christmas lighting. Now, if that is the case, then I would have expected our city councillors to enlighten us as their town council. I mean, we know that their view is they don't represent the town council as city councillors. That's something I dispute because, again, we've had this out with NALC and they have a different view. But I would like to know, I would like our town clerk to ask our city councillors, is that true? Have they got money available? If the answer is yes, then are they going to dip into the pockets to supply Hetton Town Council with upgraded lighting, which is, you know, would be very nice of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think unless anybody else has got anything to say. No. No. So I would like to thank everybody for coming, and if anybody's got any queries, you know where we all are. And thank you, Mr. Town Clerk. Do you want to say something, Graham?
Yeah, just
the time of the next meeting.
Just yeah, it was a date time next meeting. Can I just suggest, because we've already agreed that some of these items will be picked up with Town Council, that the next meeting of this committee, yourself and I liaise.
Yes.
Set a date.
Yes.
And we'll see what we get out in next week's meeting.
Sooner rather than later.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay,
good night, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Good night.
Bye. Going to be jamming bread now.